What is the legislative session going to look like this coming year?
Well, we head into 2014. We still have some issues that we in the Senate have to act on. The Assembly has acted on them. One of them is a package on mental health and looking at some recommendations that a task force has put forward, and so addressing some mental health issues, some additional funding, some personnel issues in our rural areas, but also looking at the heroin package that has been put together, and that is one that affects communities around the state and really has had strong bipartisan support. Both of those packages have, and so in the Senate we'll be looking to take up that heroin package to take a look at what we can do to provide Narcan for our emergency personnel, try to provide drug disposal in communities, also looking at some immunity for people who are calling in maybe a drug overdose, and so they would have some immunity. So we'll be taking up some of those packages as we go forward, but we still need to keep our eye on jobs and the economy. We have a short window before we adjourn for the summer and re-election in the fall.
Yeah, is re-election kind of going to be one of the focuses? Is it really going to kind of drive the agenda coming into this year?
Yeah, in the Assembly, everybody is up for re-election in the Assembly. In the state Senate, half of the senators are up, and so that kind of cuts down kind of some of those controversial bills that members are kind of wanting to vote on and go out there and then run for re-election on. So I think it'll kind of be a little bit of a tame mentality in January, February, and March, as we'll probably go out more with a little bit of a whimper than a bang with some of these really controversial social bills that have come through from the Assembly.
There's been a lot of, it's been really difficult to get anything done recently in Washington and in Madison. Has there been any kind of warming between the two parties recently?
Well, I think on those two examples of the mental health task force and looking at the heroin bills, there's some bipartisanship there, some individual bills at the committee level that I've worked well with with the committee chairs that I sit on their committees with in utilities and some other areas. So I think that we have found some pockets of bipartisanship and agreement to work together. I was pleased that late last year the governor was here in La Crosse to sign a bill that I had sponsored on worker training for people with disabilities and accepting some federal money there. But we need to continue to strengthen our economy and look at ways we can get people back to work here in the state.
One of the more controversial topics is the Common Core for schools. Do you see any of bills taken up about Common Core in this session?
Well, and I know that on the Assembly side that they have had some recommendations. The Senate sponsor on that, Senator Farrow, I think is maybe taking a little slower approach to that, but it will be interesting to see kind of what the Republicans are putting forward on Common Core. I think we need to look to our Department of Public Instruction and Tony Evers with his leadership of what we've done here to have some rigorous requirements in that, and making sure that we aren't kind of falling to these out-of-state interests who are coming in with some really bad information and inaccurate information that they were testifying on about the impetus behind Common Core here in the state.
There were two bills about abortion that got through the Assembly that could be taken up by the Senate. Do you see those being taken up and voted on by the Senate?
I think the Senator Fitzgerald wants to kind of shy away a little bit, stay clear of some of those really controversial lightning rod issues. I know that some of my Republican senators, my colleagues, have kind of voiced quietly that they would prefer that we not really take those up. That's not really the right time to do that, that we need to continue to look at jobs and strengthening our economy in the state. Wisconsin is 37th right now for job creation. We could be doing better. As we see some of our neighboring states creating jobs at a quicker clip than we are here in the state. So I think in the Senate, a little bit more pragmatic and looking to those issues that people really are concerned about around the kitchen table, and that is making sure that they've got a job that they can sustain their family with.
With the governor running for re-election, jobs was a big focus when he ran before. He made a jobs promise. Is this something where putting a priority on creating jobs might actually hurt one party or another? Or is it just the focus just getting people back to work?
Well, I think it is a bit of Achilles heel for the governor that he promised 250,000 jobs, that we would be able to, that he would put that forward, and in those 4 years that we would create 250,000 jobs here in the state. So we have not done that. We have kind of had an anemic job recovery here in our state. I think there are some things that we could have done sooner and had a greater sense of urgency rather than waiting till kind of the third year of his 4-year term to develop some of those ideas and put forward that legislation. But I think as I talk to people throughout Western Wisconsin, it still is job creation, and it is about wanting certainty in job creation and wanting to know that we are creating jobs that have family sustaining wages associated with them.
Now, as you mentioned, it might be a shorter session because people start to get on the campaign trail starting in about March. Is this the last session? Do you think Democrats are going to be in the minority? Do you think they'll have a chance to take back maybe even the Senate?
Well, I'm optimistic in the Senate that the Democrats will be at an offensive year this year, that we have 6 seats that we are looking towards, and we are recruiting great candidates who have come out early, who are working very hard, who fit their districts very well and are getting out early to raise money and get to know people and go door to door and attend those community events. We'll see what happens in this area with Senator Schultz, if he decides to retire, if he decides to run again, if he runs as an independent, runs as a Republican, that he has said that he will take some time with his family and make that decision. So I think we'll know shortly what kind of races it will have here in Western Wisconsin. But of course in the Assembly in our area, those seats will be up for re-election. So I'm looking forward to a positive year for Democrats in the state Senate, that we are 3 seats in the minority. I think we've got an opportunity to pick up some seats, and we certainly will make our case as we go out to talk to the voters this summer and this fall.
All right, and finally, coming into this session, what's going to be your top priority? What should voters look for?
Well, I have some bills just that I'm working on with some of my colleagues. One is drug endangered children. We had met with some social workers and law enforcement here in La Crosse County, and the delegation had talked to them about some of the issues that they see and that they would like some stronger tools to be able to prosecute people who are doing drugs and have a drug environment. Their children are. Also working with my colleague, Senator Sheila Harsdorf, on some legislation about some cross-border issues with nurses and health care and being certified here in the state of Wisconsin. So some opportunity to do something of legislation that came really from the district and came from people back home here that saw a need for improvement in our state statutes and some policy issues, and working in a bipartisan opportunity with Senator Harsdorf and some of my other colleagues.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.